The wind was wrong that morning. It moved too quietly, like it was afraid of being heard. The trees stood still as if holding their breath, and the air had a thickness that pressed against the lungs. Somewhere far off, a dog barked once, then went silent forever. Malorie sat by the cracked window of her small apartment, her fingers curled around a mug of cold coffee. The television flickered with static. Every channel was the same: emergency warnings, lost signals, and the faint sound of distant screaming recorded from somewhere no one could locate. She turned the TV off. Silence. Only the hum of the refrigerator reminded her that something in this building was still alive. Outside, the world had started to die quietly. It began 2 weeks earlier. A wave of strange suicides spread across cities. People described seeing something before they took their own lives. Authorities said it was mass hysteria, a contagion of fear. But the reports grew stranger. Some survivors claimed the victims smiled before dying, an unnatural, empty smile, as if they'd glimpsed heaven or hell. Now the streets were empty. The few who survived stayed indoors with their windows covered and their eyes blindfolded when they had to go outside. Malorie had learned quickly. She nailed thick blankets over every window and taped the edges shut. Her apartment was now a box of darkness lit only by candles. It was safer not to see. She wasn't alone. Malorie? The voice came from the next room. It was Tom, calm, steady, a man who'd once worked as an engineer before the world forgot about jobs and paychecks. "Yes," she whispered. "You heard it again, didn't you?" he asked. "The wind, it sounded like voices." Tom stepped into the candlelight, his eyes hidden behind a strip of dark cloth tied tight around his head. "It's not voices. It's your mind playing tricks. You need rest." Malorie looked at the blindfold, then at the floor. "I keep thinking, what if it isn't in our heads? What if it really talks?" Tom didn't answer. There was no proof, but everyone had heard it, the faint whisper carried by the breeze, like someone calling your name just outside the door. Those who followed the voice never came back. That night, Malorie couldn't sleep. She lay on the couch, listening to the distant rumble of the wind. Somewhere above her, something scraped along the roof, too heavy to be a branch. She clutched the blanket tighter around her shoulders. Then came the soft knock, 3 times, slow. Knock, knock, knock. She sat up, her breath caught in her throat. "Tom?" she whispered. No answer. She stood and crept toward the door, her bare feet quiet on the cold floor. The knocks came again, louder, more urgent. "Who's there?" A voice replied, gentle, trembling, familiar. "Malorie, it's me. It's Shannon." Her heart nearly stopped. Shannon, her sister. She hadn't heard from her since the first week of the outbreak. "Shannon?" Malorie whispered. "Oh my God, you're alive?" "Please," the voice sobbed. "Please open the door. I can't stay out here." Malorie's hand froze on the lock. Every survival rule screamed in her mind. Don't open the door. Don't look outside. But it was her sister. She remembered her laughter, her warmth, her promise that they'd always protect each other. She turned the lock halfway, then stopped. "Shannon, did you cover your eyes?" The voice went silent for a moment. Then softly it replied, "Why would I need to do that, Malorie? You should see how beautiful it is out here." Her hand dropped. She backed away slowly. "Shannon, listen to me," she whispered. "Whatever you saw, it's not real. Please just cover your eyes and—" The voice changed. The softness melted away, replaced by something wrong. Too calm, too cheerful. "Malorie," it said sweetly, "don't you want to see too?" Malorie stumbled backward, heart racing. She screamed, "Tom, wake up!" Tom burst from the bedroom, blindfold already on, holding a metal pipe. "What happened?" "It's outside," she cried. "It sounds like my sister!" He moved toward the door, listening. The voice had gone quiet. The air was still again. After a few seconds, Tom reached for the doorknob, but Malorie grabbed his arm. "Don't. I'm not going to open it," he said, "just making sure it's locked." Something heavy brushed against the door from the other side. Then a low, wet, dragging sound moved across the hallway. Neither of them spoke until the sound faded completely. Tom tightened the bolts and whispered, "They're getting smarter." Malorie's eyes filled with tears. "That wasn't my sister, was it?" "No," Tom said. "It wasn't." Morning came, though they only knew because the air grew warmer. Tom prepared their usual breakfast, canned beans split between 2 bowls. They ate in silence. Suddenly, a faint sound came from outside, engine noise. A car. Malorie stood. "Someone's driving?" Tom tilted his head. Impossible. No one risks it in daylight. But the sound grew louder. Tires screeched, metal crashed, and then silence again. They waited. Nothing. Tom sighed. "I'll check." "No, Tom." Malorie grabbed his hand. "It's too risky. I'll stay blindfolded. I'll go by sound only. We need supplies. If that car had food or water, we can't waste it." Malorie wanted to stop him, but she knew he was right. Their food wouldn't last another week. She helped him tie his blindfold tighter and guided him to the door. He carried a rope that stayed tied to the doorknob, his lifeline. As he stepped outside, the air hissed through the cracks. Malorie shut the door, holding the rope like it was his pulse. Minutes passed. Then, tug, tug, tug. The signal. He was okay, but suddenly the rope jerked hard, once, twice, violently. "Tom," she whispered. The rope went limp. Her stomach turned to ice. "Tom!" she screamed. No answer. The wind rose outside again, carrying a whisper that sounded almost like his voice. "Malorie, come see." She covered her ears and screamed until her throat ached. Somewhere beyond the walls, the world was ending. Quietly, beautifully, in 1,000 words, Malorie sat by the door, clutching the rope like it was Tom's hand. Hours had passed since he'd gone outside. The silence was a living thing now, breathing, crawling, pressing against the walls. She wanted to believe Tom would come back, but deep inside, she knew he wouldn't. Not really. Outside, something scraped against the wall again, a slow dragging sound like a body being pulled through leaves. Then the whisper came, gentle, familiar. "Malorie, please open the door." Her heart pounded. It was Tom's voice this time. She pressed her forehead against the wood and whispered back, "If it's really you, tell me what we promised each other on the first night here." Silence. Then a soft, almost amused tone. "Promises don't matter anymore, Malorie. Only sight matters now. You'll understand when you see it." Her breath caught. The voice was wrong. It had his tone, but none of his fear, none of his warmth. She stepped back from the door, whispering prayers under her breath until the sound faded away. She was alone again. Completely. 2 days later, hunger forced her to move. The last can of beans was gone. She couldn't survive here much longer. Malorie wrapped a blindfold around her head, took a knife, and placed her hand on the wall. Every step she took was guided by touch and memory. The hall smelled of dampness and mold. Down the stairs, she found the apartment below hers unlocked. Inside was a strange smell, metallic and rotten. She moved carefully, her hand brushing against overturned furniture and broken glass. Then her fingers touched something warm. She froze. Slowly she reached forward again. It was a body, cold and stiff. Malorie backed away, her breathing ragged. But as she turned to leave, she kicked something. Metal rolling on the floor, a can. Food. She fell to her knees, feeling around until she found 3 cans. Relief surged through her chest. For the first time in days, she almost smiled. Then came the whisper. "Hungry?" It came from right behind her. Malorie screamed and swung the knife wildly. The air hissed around her as she scrambled toward the door, clutching the cans to her chest. She slammed it behind her and ran up the stairs, not stopping until she was back inside her apartment. She locked the door, collapsed on the floor, and sobbed quietly. Whatever those things were, they were getting inside now. That night, the whispers didn't stop. They crawled under the door, slid through the cracks, and circled her name like a lullaby. "Malorie! Malorie, open your eyes." She pressed her hands against her ears. "Stop! Leave me alone." Then through the noise a faint knock came from the back door. 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. She froze. Again that pattern. A voice followed, soft, nervous, human. "Please, please let me in. They're coming." This time it was different. The voice didn't sound calm or possessed. It sounded terrified. Malorie hesitated, knife in hand. "Who are you?" "My name is Felix. Please, I swear I haven't seen them. I just need a place to hide." She bit her lip. Could it be real this time? She remembered Tom's warning, never open the door for a voice you don't know. But she also remembered how it felt to be alone, how it felt to lose everyone. Taking a deep breath, she spoke through the door. "Turn around. Cover your eyes. I'll open it for 3 seconds. If you move toward me, I'll kill you." "Okay," he said quickly. "I'm turned around. Please hurry." Malorie unlocked the bolts. Her hands trembled. She opened the door just enough for a shadow to slip inside, then slammed it shut again. Felix stumbled into the room, blindfolded, panting hard. He fell to his knees. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much. They almost caught me." Malorie handed him water. "Who are you? How did you survive?" I was hiding in a delivery truck, Felix said between gasps. I covered all the windows. I only came out when it got quiet, but then I heard voices. They sounded like my brother. Malorie nodded grimly. They trick you with what you love. He shuddered. They're not just monsters, they know us, they become us. For the next few hours, they shared their stories in low voices. Malorie told him about Tom, about Shannon, about the whispers. Felix listened, pale and shaken. Then he said something that chilled her. There's a rumor, he whispered. Some people out there aren't afraid of seeing them anymore. They say the creatures choose certain people. They call them the witnesses. Malorie frowned. What do you mean? They look, but they don't die. They become different. They serve the things. They travel from house to house, convincing others to open their eyes. Malorie's blood went cold. You think they're human? They used to be, Felix said. Now they're something else. A week passed. Malorie and Felix made a quiet routine, blindfolded walks to the kitchen, silent meals, long stretches of darkness. The whispers came and went, but they were learning to ignore them. Then, one evening, they heard the sound of footsteps outside, heavy boots on concrete. Felix grabbed his knife. It's them. No, Malorie whispered. Listen, it's more than one person. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. Then a deep voice said, We know you're in there. We're not like the others. We can help you. Felix's face went pale. They're witnesses, he mouthed. The voice continued, soft and persuasive. You don't need to hide anymore. What you fear isn't evil. It's truth. Open the door. See the beauty for yourself. Another voice, a woman this time, joined in, almost singing, You'll never be alone again. Just look. Just see. Felix gripped Malorie's arm. Don't move. Don't say a word. The handle rattled. Someone tried to push the door open. Malorie held her breath. Then a sharp metallic sound, a key sliding into the lock. Felix's eyes widened. How did they? The door swung open. Malorie screamed. Felix lunged forward, slamming it shut again with all his strength. The two of them pushed against it as something pounded from the other side, howling words that didn't sound human anymore. Finally, the noise stopped. They fell to the floor, gasping, drenched in sweat. Malorie whispered, They have keys now? How? Felix stared at the door. Because they used to live here. That night, they didn't sleep. They sat together in silence, holding their weapons, listening to the soft, rhythmic breathing that came from just outside the window. The wind carried voices again, gentle, inviting. Malorie, Felix, come see us. You'll never fear again. Malorie whispered to herself, We're not dying in this box. Felix nodded. The next morning came with no light, just a dim grey that seeped through the cracks of the boarded windows. The whispers had faded, replaced by the stillness that always came before the storm. Malorie packed what little food they had left, 2 cans of beans, 1 bottle of water, and a small radio that barely worked. Felix filled a small backpack and wrapped it tight. We'll follow the river, he said quietly. I heard on the radio weeks ago there's a safe camp somewhere upstream, people living blindfolded, protected by walls. Malorie nodded. How far? Maybe a day, maybe 2, I don't know. She tightened her blindfold, heart pounding. Then let's move before they come back. They stepped outside for the first time in weeks. The world smelled wrong, like wet rust and burnt air. The wind brushed their faces as if testing them, waiting for one of them to peek. Keep the rope between us, Felix whispered. If we lose touch, we're dead. Malorie nodded, one hand gripping the rope, the other sweeping through the air to feel obstacles. Every sound became a warning. The crunch of leaves, the drip of water, the distant call of birds that no longer sounded like birds. Somewhere far away, something was crying. It sounded human, but stretched, like a voice played backward. Felix whispered, Ignore it. Don't listen. They moved slowly down the street, guided by the faint sound of running water. At one point, Malorie tripped over something soft and sticky. Her hands brushed against fabric, then skin. A body. The air around it was cold. She forced herself not to imagine the face, not to wonder if it was someone she knew. Keep going, she told herself. Hours later, they reached the riverbank. The water hissed quietly, flowing through stones like a whisper that never stopped. Felix found an old rowboat tied to a tree, half buried in mud. It'll float, he said. Barely. They climbed in, keeping their blindfolds tight. The current caught the boat, carrying them downstream through the silence. For a long while, the only sound was the oars cutting through the water and the steady rhythm of their breathing. Then the voices began again, soft, melodic, echoing off the water. "Malorie," she froze. "Did you hear that?" Felix stopped rowing. "Don't answer it." The voice came again, this time from the opposite side of the river. "Malorie, it's me, Tom." Her throat tightened. "No, it's not." "It is," the voice pleaded. "I survived. I found a place. You're going the wrong way." Malorie shook her head violently. "No, no, no." Felix grabbed her hand. "Don't listen. It's not him." But the voice sounded so real. It had the same gentleness, the same warmth she remembered from those quiet nights. Then another voice joined in. Her sister Shannon. "Malorie, please. Just take off the blindfold. You'll see us. You'll see the light." Her tears soaked through the fabric of her blindfold. "Stop it, please." The boat rocked as she trembled, almost tipping. Felix shouted, "Malorie, focus! It's them!" Suddenly the water exploded beside them. Something massive moved beneath the surface, a shadow that brushed against the boat. The sound was deafening, a deep, pulsing hum that felt inside the skull rather than the ears. Felix gripped the oar tightly. "Don't move." But the boat tilted violently. Malorie screamed as icy water splashed over her legs. Then came the whisper, right beside her ear. "It's beautiful down here." She felt hands, cold and smooth, grabbing her wrist, trying to pull her toward the water. Felix lunged forward, striking the water with the oar. "Get back!" The thing hissed, a wet, hollow sound, and vanished beneath the surface. Malorie gasped, clinging to the edge of the boat. "What was that?" "I don't know," Felix panted, "but it can touch us now." The river narrowed, the current growing stronger. They passed the ruins of a bridge, its twisted metal reaching out like the fingers of a dead god. Somewhere in the distance, faint music played, a piano melody, slow and haunting. Felix frowned. "Music?" Malorie whispered. "Someone must be alive." "No one plays music anymore," Felix said. "It's a trap." But the sound drew closer. Then came laughter, children's laughter. Malorie's heart broke. "It sounds like my son," she whispered before realizing she didn't have one. The creatures were making her believe. Felix's voice trembled. "They're in our heads now. Don't listen. Just row." They paddled faster, blindfolded, guided only by the sound of rushing water and the faint wind that carried whispers of forgotten names. Hours passed. The sun began to fall. At least they thought it did. The air grew colder. Felix's voice cracked. "We need to stop. Rest a bit." They pulled the boat onto a muddy shore. Malorie tied it to a tree, still blindfolded. She sat beside Felix, both exhausted. "Do you ever think about taking it off?" she asked quietly. Felix sighed. "Every day. But that's what they want. The curiosity kills you faster than the sight." Malorie nodded. "Tom said once that maybe they're not evil. Maybe they're just too much for us to understand." Felix chuckled darkly. "Then I'd rather stay ignorant." The wind picked up again. Leaves rustled. Somewhere nearby a twig snapped. Felix stood instantly, knife ready. "Did you hear that?" Malorie whispered, "Yes." Footsteps approached, slow, careful. "Who's there?" Felix called. No answer. Just breathing, too close now. "It's okay, we're human." Malorie froze. "Felix?" He stepped forward cautiously. "Prove it." The strangers didn't answer. Then suddenly rough hands grabbed Felix. He shouted as they pulled his blindfold off. "No!" Malorie screamed. Felix's cry turned into a soundless gasp, then laughter. Terrible, joyous laughter. "Malorie," he said softly, his tone now empty, echoing. "You have to see it. It's so perfect." Her blood turned cold. "No, please." He took a step toward her. Malorie swung blindly with the knife, slashing the air. She felt it connect, warm blood splattering her hands. Felix groaned and fell to the ground. She stumbled backward, tripping over roots, and ran toward the river, heart pounding like a drum. Behind her, the voices called out in unison, "Come see, Malorie, come see." She jumped into the boat, untied it, and pushed off into the current, paddling blindly into the dark. The whispers chased her, echoing over the water. Then, silence again. Only the sound of her breath and the endless moving river. She whispered to herself, "Keep going. Don't look back. Don't ever look back." Water. The world was silent now, too silent. Even the whispers had vanished, as if the creatures were watching, waiting. She didn't know how many hours or days had passed. Time didn't exist anymore. Only the dark. Her mind began to crack in the silence. She started talking to herself, whispering just to hear a human voice. "Keep going. You're almost there. Just keep going." Every few minutes she imagined Tom's voice beside her, calm and gentle. "You're strong, Malorie. Don't look. Just live." She clung to those memories like they were oxygen. Then, faintly, through the roar of the current, she heard something new. A bell. It was distant, soft, metallic, ringing once every few seconds. Malorie froze. Could it be real? Or another trick? She remembered what Felix had said. There's a camp upstream, a safe place. They use a bell to guide survivors. Her heart leapt. Oh God, please let it be true. She began paddling faster, following the sound. The bell grew louder, clearer. Then, beneath it, she heard something else, the faint sound of children laughing. Her blood ran cold. No, not again. The laughter faded, replaced by crying. A child's voice called out, "Help me! Please, help me!" Malorie stopped rowing, trembling. It sounded so real, so desperate. "Help me! Please, I can't find my mom!" Tears rolled down her cheeks. She gripped the edge of the boat, fighting the urge to turn toward the sound. "It's not real," she whispered. "It's not real." But the voice came again, closer now. "Please, I'm drowning!" Something splashed beside the boat. Hands slapped against the wood. Malorie screamed and swung the oar wildly. Get away from me!" The hands vanished, leaving only ripples in the water. Then the bell rang again, steady and calm. Malorie rowed harder, teeth clenched, sobbing as she followed the sound. After what felt like hours, the boat bumped against something solid, wood, not stone. A dock. Malorie's hands shook as she reached out. "Hello? Is anyone there?" For a long moment there was nothing. Then a woman's voice replied, soft, human, real. "Don't be afraid. You're safe now. Keep your blindfold on. We'll help you." Malorie's breath caught. "You're real?" "Yes," the woman said gently. "We're a sanctuary. Come slowly. Follow my voice." Malorie climbed out of the boat, her legs weak, every muscle trembling. She followed the woman's voice along the wooden dock until her feet touched solid ground. Warm hands guided her carefully forward. "You can rest now," the woman said. "You made it." Malorie almost collapsed in relief. "Thank God! I thought I was the last one left." "You're not," the woman said softly. "There are still people who refuse to see." Malorie smiled weakly beneath her blindfold. "Then it's true. There's still hope." They led her inside what felt like a large building. Cool air, stone floors, faint echoes. Someone placed a blanket around her shoulders. "You can take off the blindfold now," the woman whispered. Malorie froze. "What? You're safe here," the voice insisted. "We've built walls so thick they can't see us. The creatures can't come in. You can open your eyes." Malorie hesitated. Her fingers touched the edge of the cloth. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Yes," the woman said, almost tenderly. "You've been blind long enough. Don't you want to see what you've been fighting for?" The tone changed slightly, too calm, too eager. Malorie's heart started to race. No, I can't." The woman's voice deepened. "Why not? You think I'd lie to you?" Malorie took a step back. "You're not one of them, are you?" The voice chuckled softly. "Oh, Malorie, I was one of you once, but I saw the truth, and it's beautiful." Malorie's stomach twisted. She began to back away, clutching the blindfold tighter. Hands grabbed her shoulders from behind. She screamed, twisting and struggling. The voice hissed, "Don't fight it. Once you see, you'll never be afraid again." Malorie kicked and bit, breaking free. She tore through the hall blindly, her footsteps echoing. She could hear them chasing her, soft feet, calm voices calling her name. "Malorie, come back. Come see the light." She stumbled into another room. The air was cooler here. She slammed the door and locked it, heart hammering. Her hands brushed against a wall, rough stone. Then she felt something else, tiny holes, cold air leaking through them. A window. She froze. Outside, the wind was whispering. "Malorie," it was Tom's voice again. Closer this time. "Take off the blindfold," it said sweetly. "I've missed you." She pressed her back against the wall, tears streaming down her face. "You're not him. You're not." The voice laughed softly. "You still don't understand. We're not here to destroy you. We're here to show you." "Show me what?" she whispered. "The world as it truly is." The window creaked. A faint glow bled through the cracks, a colour she'd never seen before, something that felt alive. Her hands trembled. The light pulsed, whispering promises into her ears. Peace, love, beauty. She wanted to look. God help her, she wanted to see. But then she heard Tom's real voice, his last words echoing in her mind. "Don't look. Just live." Malorie screamed, grabbed the blanket from her shoulders and shoved it against the window, blocking the glow. The whispers turned into screams, furious, shrieking, inhuman. "You can't hide forever!" She pressed her hands over her ears. "I don't need to see you," she shouted. "I just need to survive." The light faded. The air grew still again. Malorie sank to the floor, sobbing. When she finally stood, the building was silent. The others, whatever they were, had vanished. She kept her blindfold on as she walked outside. The river wind brushed her face softly. Somewhere far away, a bird sang, a real bird, alive. She smiled faintly. "As long as I can hear you," she whispered, "I'm not alone." Malorie began walking again, into the endless dark, blindfolded but alive. She didn't need to see the world to know it was still there. And behind her, unseen, the wind whispered her name one last time. Malorie, then silence.